lives.
True. That's why I said daily driver. If it's a Corvette Z06 that you drive, 1,000 miles a year, you could probably get over that, But again, anywhere after 7 or 8 years, you got to start thinking, this film has been on there a while. Maybe I should get it removed by a professional.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Chicago Auto Pros podcast here. Today, we're going to be talking about paint protection film. My name's AJ, if you don't know me, and this is here.
I am Dan. I'm the manager here at the Lombard location.
Yeah, it's just us two today. Dom couldn't make it out, but we are going to go over some good topics here. We're also trying a new setup here, so let us know if you guys like this setting versus the other podcasts that we've put out so far.
Looks pretty cool to me.
I think the lighting is right.
Yeah.
We've got topics, and we can talk about them. So a lot of the questions that come up, I'd say first things first is, what is paint protection film, Dan?
Paint protection film is a film that you can apply to your car. It is a good way to put it is it's kind of like a screen protector for your car. So it's a 8 to 10 mil thick clear or stealth film you used for protection on your paint.
Very good. And why does somebody want to or need to do paint protection film?
Well, want and need is a different thing, but you need both, want and need. But if you get a brand new car and you really want it to keep looking the way it does from the factory, PPF is a great option. It protects against rock chips, little scratches, little dings. So if you want that new car to keep looking the way it does, paint protection film.
And why is PPF costly?
Well, the roll itself to purchase is a cost, and then there is a certain level of labor that goes into it as well.
And I kind of want to touch on that too, because, for you guys watching out there, I'm sure you guys have done some shopping around, which I urge you to do.
You should.
You will notice that prices are kind of all over the place.
It's true.
Right, and there's definitely a reason why.
To me, it depends on what film you're going with, because each film costs different, and who's installing it.
And you want to touch a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean that's a big piece of it too. So, like a dealership installed kit when you buy your car is not going to be the same film or install than if you were to go to like a reputable installing shop.
And what do you mean by that?
The way they install the film and the film that they're using is a cheaper option.
Yeah, I've definitely witnessed it, at least.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've been doing this for quite some time now as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've definitely witnessed, hey, bought this car, dealership said they'd put it on for me, and what did I get back? I don't know what I got back.
You got some film slapped on your car.
And that's all it really is.
That's it. There's no prep. There's no cutting. There's no edge work. It's just a kit slapped on a car.
And at least from my experience, or at least what I've seen, like some of the higher end dealerships, they'll at least go through the effort of hiring somebody that does it.
True.
Whether they do good work or not is a whole different question. Yeah. But at least a higher end dealership will have somebody that semi knows what they're doing.
True.
Putting it on.
Yeah, you're really high end ones. Yeah.
But I'd say like your more economic or standard car brands out there. And this is a story that I've heard from. I'll leave the source unnamed, but he was a service manager for a manufacturer or a dealership, I'd say. And the way that they were selling PPF, they pretty much sold it the way that we would sell it, okay. Right? Or as anybody else would. Hey, it'll protect your car.
Yeah.
However, they were ordering kits from Amazon and passing them off to the porters and slapping them on.
Ooh.
But the kits that they're ordering from Amazon are like $100 for a full front clip.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then whatever you pay the porter to do, they'll get it done in 2 hours or something like that, just slapping it on.
Right.
So we've definitely seen stuff like that come through the shop that we'd have to fix.
100%. Yeah.
And I just want to kind of tell people out there, like, or at least the biggest thing for me that I tell people is like, vet whoever, and I think we talked about this in the other podcast,
Probably.
was, hey, vet whoever's doing the work.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to be the main thing, or the main topic that we touch on time and time again, is it doesn't really matter what they're doing the work with. It's really who's doing the work.
That's the biggest piece. Like, I mean, all PPFs are going to be similar films. You could get it from China, you can get it from Expel, you can get it from 3M. They're all going to be somewhat similar, but it's who's doing the install. And like what you said, it's important to kind of catch a vibe from a shop. Like, if you walk in the lobby of Chicago Auto Pros, you kind of see where our heads are at.
You kind of have to trust who is doing the work.
Especially if it's like a brand new car that you waited on a long time, or if you're going to be doing full car PPF. It's a lot of work, and you got to trust the shop you're going to bring it to.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
And so I guess that kind of answers the question of why PPF is so expensive. But, you know, there's a lot of other stuff too out there, or misconceptions at least. Or, you know, technology wasn't up to par at the time.
Right.
But a big problem is, will PPF turn yellow?
That's a good question. You hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Or you get the, what does your warranty cover?
Exactly.
Similar question. But nowadays, PPF has came a long way to where the film that we offer from Expel doesn't yellow. And it does come with a 10-year warranty when you purchase it through us for peeling, bubbling, or discoloring. But I've been here for a while. I've never seen an Expel PPF car yellow.
And to kind of put that into perspective, like, PPF isn't supposed to really last up to that 10 years if you're actually driving the car.
Right.
Right. It's the warranty is more than it needs to be, I think.
I agree.
Right. Because if you're driving a car on the road for 10 years straight, you're going to have to replace the bumper at some point.
It's going to be cooked.
Something is going to tear that film up.
100%. Yeah.
But the benefit of it is it's protecting your paint.
Yeah, it's not your paint getting cooked. It's the film getting cooked. Yep.
And
Agreed.
maybe, so this question isn't really on the list for questions that we have to answer, but it's a question we get all the time in the shop, at least, is, let's say I do get some damage on my bumper. Do I have to redo the entire package again?
That is a good question, and we hear that a lot in the office, in the shop, on the internet, email. The answer is no. You just got to redo the panel that has the damage on it.
Yeah. So
it's not like one big piece. It's pieces.
Yeah.
Of PPF.
It's different panels. So yeah, the upfront cost for a full front is going to be, you know, rather expensive up front.
Yep.
But later down the line, it just gets cheaper from then on.
That's a good point. Yeah, like I think I got my front clip on for a little over 2 years, and my front bumper has a couple small little areas, but I'm not ready to rip it off and redo it until it gets worse. And when I'm ready, we just do the front bumper again.
And I want to touch on that too, because some of our customers, the smallest little chip they get, they want to redo an entire hood.
Well, I mean, I could understand where they're coming from, because maybe their misconception of PPF is it won't get damaged ever. You know what I mean? So in their head, they're like, well, what is this? But the PPF is designed to take the hit. It's not a shield. And if it does take a hit, it means it's protecting your paint, but wait until it gets beat up until you redo the panel.
That's typically what I tell people. It's like they'll just get their full front clip done. 2, maybe 3 weeks later, I'll get a phone call back like, hey, I just got a rock chip on my bumper. Like, what can we do about this? You know, and I'll tell them like, hey, did you see if it went through the paint or not, or is it just the film? You know, they'll tell me like the film buckled back.
Yeah, a little peel,
a little
mark.
peel, a little there.
Yep.
Yeah, but the paint looks fine. And I'll tell them, hey, we could go one of two ways. We could pull that whole bumper piece off and put a new piece on for you, or you can get 100 more of those in different areas, and then we can redo it for you.
Right.
It's totally up to you.
It is. It's a question of how perfect you want it to look.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all that it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, in terms of things, you know, kind of going about it, like what kind of PPF do we install here?
We offer Expel. We offer 2 different films by them. We use Ultimate Plus, which is our clear film option, and then we have Stealth, which is like a matte or a satin style film. Yeah,
so we are a Expel shop. I know you guys have seen us kind of go through different manufacturers over the years. Expel has been the most consistent for us, and just the most predictable.
Yeah.
Right? We can kind of tell when if there is issues, which there's usually really none, we have the answers to them just because of how consistent and how predictable XPEL can be.
It's very less often that we have little issues with the film from XPEL.
And I think you touched on this, but it is a question that comes up. One, is the film that we use self-healing, and how thick is the film that we use?
Yeah, we get those questions pretty often, especially for the people that have done their research, called other shops, looked into PPF. You're going to get those questions. And to answer it, ours is 8 mil thick if you go with the Ultimate Plus clear stuff, and the first 2 layers are self-healing, so yes.
And they do have other options, right, in terms of thickness?
They do, yeah. They offer a 10 mil, but we have tried that before, and it's a little more tough to install, and sometimes it doesn't lay down on edges as well as the 8 mil. It's a little too thick in our opinion, and it can be a little less clear.
That was one thing I wanted to touch on as well, and kind of why we've standardized the 8 mil as a shop.
Right.
I mean, you guys are watching this, and you guys who have come to us kind of know that we try and do everything the best way that we possibly can to give you the best outcome. So I'm not saying that we won't do the 10 mil. We can definitely do it in special cases. Like if you really, really wanted it. It does cost a little bit more, but you don't get the same result as you would with the 8 mil.
Yeah, like the 8 mil is tried and true.
Yeah.
10 mil, it's thicker, yes, but it doesn't have the same install and the same quality of install that we offer.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do the 10 mil, I'd probably recommend headlights.
Yep.
Bumper maybe, but this has got to be for like a car that you're putting on the track or something.
Yeah, like heavy damage.
I don't think you really need the 10 mil for everyday driving.
Again, I got 8 mil on the front of my Accord that's driven 60 miles on the highway every day, and I just got a couple small little areas that are marked up. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't need 10 mil.
No.
If it's a daily driver.
If it goes through the 8 mil and it goes through the paint itself, you got to think about it this way. Something pretty serious probably had to hit the car.
That's like a piece of a truck coming off or something like that. Some real bad, like something off the street, not a little rock.
It's going to do more damage than just chip the paint.
Yeah.
Which in most cases it does.
Yeah, like crack the front bumper.
Yeah.
It's not something like that, yeah.
So with that being said, like what packages do you really recommend? Like, do you recommend people get partial?
I mean, that's rare that I recommend that, to be honest, because, again, like, and I'm sure everybody knows this, and we've touched on this before, but that line that runs across your fenders and hood will catch dirt and will show over time. So it's kind of an ugly install, which kind of goes against what we're trying to do here. Usually we pinpoint towards the full front clip, so you get the whole hood, the whole fenders. There is no line. It's a lot cleaner of an install. However, if somebody really is like budget conscious and really doesn't want to spend the couple thousand that a front clip can be, you could just do full front bumper, and maybe headlights. Rather than having that third of hood and fenders show, that might be a good option too.
Yeah, but I also feel like that's also kind of like half-assing it almost.
Well, the leading section or the leading front of your hood, you're probably going to get some damage.
Yeah. I can't tell you like the countless times where I've told people where, this is a new car to them. Maybe they were in a different car, but the partial is what they're looking at getting done, and this is a new car to them. So when they're looking into doing the paint protection film, I'll recommend the full front. But because of the experience they had on their last car, like, I never really got chips on the hood or anything of that nature. Like, hey, that was a completely different car, completely different shape.
That's right.
It was probably a lot higher up on the ground than your new car is now. And you're probably going to get some damage right above where the film ends. And I've seen that too, where they literally got a rock chip right where the film ends. So half of it was on the film and the other half was on the exposed part.
It's funny you say that. I got a quick little story that pops in my head. We have a customer that comes here. I won't name him, but he knows who he is and he knows what I'm talking about. But he has a Supra, and the Supra, the design of the front end is you have that really long hood, you got the tiny little fenders, but it's mostly hood. So he got a partial hood. I think it was done at Toyota, as a matter of fact. And again, he had this little rock that hit it just past the line of the film. And now the problem is you got this huge hood with that little tiny chip, and you'll always see that. Even if you do a little touch up and rip off the partial and redo a full hood, you're still gonna have that little stupid rock chip.
It, like I said, it's all just what you want out of it.
It is. Yep.
You know, and especially on a car like the Supra where it's just a giant clamshell. I think Macans are the same way.
Yeah, very similar.
Vipers are the same way with the clamshell hood. Even Mini Coopers.
Yeah, that's actually, I remember doing one a couple weeks ago.
So I always advocate for the more coverage you can get, why not?
Yeah, it can't hurt.
And I guess my thought process behind it is, you know, no matter what size vehicle you're driving, if you're driving on the highway, I know you've heard something hit your windshield before.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever it is that hit your windshield had to come from the ground past the full front.
It's true.
And hit your windshield.
Yeah, it's true.
But what if you were going a little bit slower where it didn't hit the windshield and it hit the top of the hood?
Yeah, it didn't make it up that high.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have a little chip unless you got PPF.
Unless you have PPF.
Yeah.
Right.
I've had a couple situations in my car where I'll be driving home from work and I hear something hit it, and I think to myself, that would have definitely left a chip.
I've heard stuff hit the roof of my lifted 4Runner.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
And it's like I'm like almost 7
You're
feet
like
off the ground.
7 or 8 feet off the ground.
Yeah,
It still
like,
hits you. Yeah.
What's going on here?
No, what you were saying is if I didn't have a front clip in my car, for sure, my front end would be destroyed.
Yeah.
In 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Destroyed. Like
Yeah.
my last car was that didn't have PPF.
Yeah, it's
Peppered.
you see, and that's the thing too, is like not all impacts go through the paint.
That's right.
Right. So whenever we use the term peppered, we're typically talking about impact marks.
Yeah.
Right. Which an impact mark is kind of like a dimple.
Yeah. That's a good way
You
to
know,
look
it's a
at it.
very small dimple, I guess. It impacted the area. It just didn't go through the paint.
But you can still see it.
You can
It's
still see it
ugly.
in certain lighting.
Yeah, and it's still ugly and it stands out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it all just depends on the quality of the paint that was
True.
on there and kind of what hit it.
Right.
But another question I wanted to kind of go over is, and we get this a lot, like does PPF go over ceramic coating?
Yeah, that's a really common question, especially when somebody is doing like a multiple services. No, we would do PPF first because we got to do the prep work before the film goes on there, so that, which includes, you know, your decon wash, clay bar, and do a quick one-step polish before the film goes on. But if you do ceramic coating before the film goes on, the film will have a hard time sticking because it's too slippery, and you're not going to have that nice prepped surface. So it's prep, PPF, ceramic coating on top.
And why does PPF not go over ceramic coating?
Again, like it would just be too slippery for the PPF to even stick. It wouldn't grab to the edges enough. And we got to polish the paint, which would remove any ceramic coating before the film goes on anyways.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to put a coating under PPF. You got enough coverage from PPF, but we do a ceramic coating over for that extra layer.
And what's the benefit of putting it over?
You get that UV protection, makes it that much more hydrophobic, and you do get a little bit of an extra shine.
And another question that's not on the list, but we do get it a lot, is am I going to see a difference between the ceramic coating and the part that's wrapped?
If you do both PPF and ceramic coating, no.
Especially the way that we're installing it, like
No.
you're not going to see where the film ends and the ceramic coating starts.
No. Now, if you just do PPF full front clip and you leave the rest of the car alone, like no paint correction, no coating, the front end might be a little shinier, just a hair.
We'll use like an extreme example.
Yeah.
Let's say it's like a 5-year-old black, I don't know, Ford Fusion.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right.
There's going to be a big difference.
We correct just the front.
Yeah, that's going to be
We put
large
film on
difference.
just the front. Hey, you got a brand new front end, but the rest of your car looks like it's needing some love.
Swirled up, little, yeah. No, that would be, in that situation, you want to do something for sure.
At least a basic paint correction of the rest of the vehicle.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah.
It would look better.
I'm only bringing this up because I've dealt with this a lot too, where it's like we'll get an older car, or we'll get a car that just got their front end repainted, and they think that now it's a fresh start. You know, they've got the fenders, the hood, the bumper, and the mirrors repainted, but the rest of the vehicle is still the same. Hey, you kind of maybe want to blend it in a little bit, just so it just looks nice all around.
Yeah. Like, let's say your front end got chipped up. You got it repainted at a body shop. You want to put some PPF on it to protect it, but don't forget about the rest of the car. You want to make it a little shiny. At least it looks cohesive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So now kind of on that topic of like repaints. So this is going to be kind of a hard question or a daunting question for a lot of people.
I know where this is going to go.
But will PPF damage paint?
Well, I mean, that's a convoluted question. You know, it depends on what you're talking about.
So put me on game, dude.
Okay, well, I guess it depends on the situation. Now, my first thought with that is, yes, if you leave your PPF on there too long, even if it is a brand new car, if you leave it on there, you know, I would say anywhere past, if it's a daily driver, anywhere past like 7 or 8 years, you're on given time. Now, what can happen is the PPF can start to bond to the clear coat, and upon removal, you may lose some paint here and there on removal.
And this is all depending on the life that the car lives.
True. That's why I said daily driver. If it's a Corvette Z06 that you drive, 1,000 miles a year, you could probably get over that, But again, anywhere after 7 or 8 years, you got to start thinking, this film has been on there a while. Maybe I should get it removed by a professional.
If you plan on getting it removed.
Right. Now, if you're planning on selling the car,
well, it's out of your hands at that point.
That's up to you. You can just that's the next guy's problem, like they say. But that's my first thought, is you got to be careful with length of time you have the film on your car and removal. But when it comes to installation, it all depends on the car. If it's a used car that already has some miles to it, it's got some little issues here and there, and we're going to be laying PPF over it, we're going to have you sign a waiver, and you got to know that sometimes during an install, things can happen. The film can stick places while they're tacking it, and you could have some issues, and that's why we have you sign a waiver. Whether it's actually a used or new car, you still have the chance of something happening during install.
Yeah, and not to say that this happens all the time, because it really doesn't, but it is a possibility.
It is rare, but I just want to put that out there.
Like, we can't be responsible for whoever laid the paint down.
Right, and just because, and I don't mean to sound, can I swear?
Chris, can we swear on this podcast?
Can I swear on this?
I wouldn't.
Okay. I don't want to sound, mean, but just because you think your car is brand new and it has 1,000 miles on it, I don't know what the previous customer did with it and if they got anything repainted. I don't want to sound,
Well, dealerships kind of tend to do this a lot. And I think manufacturers do too, where they might find an issue or a defect. It could be right at the factory.
Yeah.
Where they'll sand it out real quick and then just repaint that area like spot paint.
Don't tell you anything.
Yeah. And
nothing on the Carfax.
I think that's exactly what happened to a particular car that was just in Glenview.
What kind of car was it?
It was a black C8.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm familiar.
Where, we found some certain things that, the customer had no idea about.
Of course.
The dealer probably didn't even have any idea about.
Sometimes they don't.
It's definitely things that we see a lot.
Yeah,
where people are just trying to cover it up and just get the car out.
Yeah, it can happen. Especially cars that come from overseas, too. You never know, man.
You never know.
Like you said last time we had this conversation, cars are coming from really, really far away, some cars. Who's to say that it didn't get a little chip, a little damage, and then, right when it crosses over, they do a little fix. Mm-hmm. Who's to say that didn't happen with your car,
Who's to know that just maybe 3 or 4 fixes didn't happen along the way?
Let's say it's on a boat, big rock hits it, they run it to a quick body shop. I mean, there's all sorts of things that can happen before you get your hands on your car. And we're not responsible for the condition of your paint.
That's why we exist, really. We're here to make it better for you.
Right.
It's once it's in our hands, yes, we'll be responsible to make it look as good as possible.
Of course. Yeah.
But how it comes into us, we have no control, really.
That's right.
But that's why we exist. We're here to make it better for you.
And in most cases, like let's say, we prep your car, we do a quick little GoPro video to make sure it's in good shape. If we see something that stands out, especially on a brand new car, we're going to notify you and give you a heads up.
Yeah. And that's the most important thing, I think, is communication as well.
That's it.
Because a lot of the times, and we're hoping that these podcasts kind of help answer these questions for you guys.
Right.
Just because we do get a lot of these questions on a daily basis.
Yeah, you're not just coming up with some random list. These are questions that we both hear daily.
Every single day, and we're hoping that, with these series of podcasts that we've done for you guys, that not only do we answer your questions, but we just make you more knowledgeable about the product and the industry as well.
Yeah.
Because it's always nice talking to somebody that understands what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right.
And a lot of it is essentially the same, but it all kind of spans back to like who's doing the work.
That, yeah. And what vehicle, what condition. I got a quick PPF removal story.
Go.
So I got one of my, it is my best customer. Like super extensive Ferrari, Aston Martin, Jaguar, Lamborghini collection. Really extensive. And brings all of his cars here at our Lombard location. He bought a used Ferrari 458. It was a 2013. And when he dropped it off, he's like, I want to take off this PPF. I want to do some paint corrections, see what we're working with. I'm like, okay, great. As soon as I heard 2013 Ferrari with PPF on it, I got my red flags are already in my head, kind of thinking, how long has this PPF been on there? Who installed it? So he comes by.
And Ferraris are all hand painted.
That's another thing you got to be careful with. But he comes by and the PPF has been on there since the car was new. So we're talking, this is over 11-year-old PPF. Yes, it's a Ferrari. It had super low miles. It had like 13,000 miles on it.
The install was probably done by a subcontractor at the dealer.
So we go removing it. He wanted everything off. So this was like more than half of the car removal. Everything was going smooth until we get to the driver's rocker panel kit, which was carbon.
Mm-hmm.
And, clear coat on carbon is a little thinner. But yeah, we ended up pulling the clear coat off the carbon fiber. But since I told the customer that, hey, this is 11-year-old film, I'm just being real with them. There's a high chance that something could happen. Everything was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's probably more of a conversation of like how to deal with customers.
Yeah.
But in the main scheme of things, at least 11 years ago, technology was a lot different.
That's a good point.
11 years from now, you probably won't have that issue because of the technology and it's caught up.
That's a good point. I mean, Expel, I'm sure every day is looking into new ways of making their PPF better.
Like I said, they've been the most consistent for us.
Yeah.
Every now and then, you may have some issues in terms of like customer didn't like the way this looked, customer didn't like the way that looked. Hey, no problem. Let me fix it for you.
Yeah. Or like a defect in the film, which is super rare, but that can happen.
Yeah, it happens. It's not like everybody's perfect from everything.
Of course. Yeah.
But the best thing about it is, like I said, super predictable. Mm-hmm. We know what's wrong. We know what to do to fix it, really.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And then one of the biggest things that I also hear and see, at least here on this list, is will PPF hide scratches?
That is a good question. Now, before we put the film on there, we're going to be doing a little bit of prep work. Like I said, we're going to decon wash, we're going to clay bar, we're going to do a quick polish. We try to get the paint as nice as we can before we put the film on. Yes, the film can hide scratches slightly, but if it's a real deep one, it can actually shed light on it. So it really depends on what kind of scratch we're talking about, how deep.
I would say it's the same for rock chips too.
So yeah, because they're both, damage to your paint.
Mm-hmm. And I get this question too, is like, do you guys put touch-up paint before you put the paint protection film on for like existing stuff? My answer is typically, I'll leave that up to the installers.
Exactly. That's my answer too.
Just because sometimes it looks better without the touch-up paint when you put the film over it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it really depends on the chip itself. Sometimes when you put the touch-up paint on there, it looks like a pimple.
It can. Yeah, you're building like a small little mountain
Yeah.
under the film.
Yeah,
You're right.
exactly. Whereas if you just left it alone, the film sits flat.
When it comes to like small scratches and little rock chips that you have on your car, we leave it up to the installers because they have their tricks.
Yeah.
You know that.
It's either you want it to look like a little dot or you want it to look like a little pimple.
Right. And like I'll go back to this saying because this is a good one you can kind of land on. It's not paint perfection film. It's paint protection film. It's not made to make your paint perfect. It's made to protect it.
And that's one thing as well is, it's there for a reason and it's there for a purpose.
Yeah.
And we're not saying like you can't have an older car and put PPF on there.
You can.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as you guys know the expectations at least, right?
Right.
If you get an older car, but you love this older car,
Yeah.
you put PPF on there, at least you know it won't get any worse from there.
Yeah. It's true.
Right. As long as you come to terms with the existing stuff that's on there,
Right.
anything after that, it's protected.
That's right. Yep. I mean, we did a 1993 911 Turbo just like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was in great shape,
Super good shape.
but putting film on it can stop it from getting any worse.
And the next question that I see here, which I think is really going to be kind of a loaded question, but what's the best PPF out there, Dan?
Well, that really depends on your situation and what kind of car you got. I mean, in my opinion, it really depends on what your goal is. That's a convoluted question. That's a pretty loaded question.
A little bit. So we'll move on to the next one here. Can PPF be repaired?
Can PPF be repaired? I mean, again, that's a pretty tricky question, but I would say if you get like a little small, tiny mark or something like that, it is self-healing, and sometimes you could add some heat, and that could hide it. But no, it can't be repaired.
It can't be repaired. So it is self-healing to an extent.
Right.
And that self-healing layer exists within a certain depth within that 8 mil.
Yeah, I think it's the first 2 layers. I don't know how many thousands of them.
So we don't have a microscope or anything.
Yeah, I can't get into that.
Your skin is self-healing to a certain extent.
True. That's a
Right.
good point. Small surface scratch.
Surface scratch will heal itself out.
Now, if you get
Anything
gouged,
deeper than that, I hope we can paint that picture for you guys.
yeah, that should set in.
But we'll kind of get into like the aftercare. Like
Yeah.
after you've got paint protection film done, you're nicely protected. How does one take care of their paint protection film?
I mean, it goes along the similar lines of when you get a ceramic coating. You want to hand wash. You want to make sure it's nice and clean as often as you can. Don't let it get too crazy dirty. Be careful how you wash it. Yes, the film is durable, but you still want to be careful around the edges. You don't really want to do too many touchless or definitely not any tunnel washes. You can do, while you're washing and drying, you can spray a nice paint sealant while you're drying it. That'll give you a nice little topper. And always make sure to do your yearly checkups at your shop.
What about waxing?
I mean, if you have a ceramic coating, there's really no point. You could throw a layer of wax if you just did PPF.
And are you talking like machine applied wax or like a spray on wax?
Spray on wax. You really want to be careful if you're going to take a machine to a car that has any PPF on it, because you're really not supposed to go and polish the PPF.
And why is that?
It's a film, and it doesn't have a clear coat. It's not like a painted surface, so you got to be careful how you treat the film. You're not really supposed to be very abrasive with it.
Yeah. And the amount of heat that's generated from, let's say, a buffer,
Good point.
you might burn through the film.
You can put a burn spot. Yeah. Again, it's not a shield.
Yeah. Once it's on there, it's like going back to what you said, it's a screen protector for your car.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. It's exactly what it is,
Yeah.
And to the point that we made earlier, like I have a crack in my screen protector now.
Dude, so do I.
But it's
I have one
not
too.
It's not bad enough to where I need to just get a new screen protector.
Same. I have a small one on the edge, and it's the same thing if you get a little tiny mark to your PPF.
PPF's expensive, but as long as you use it and get your money's worth out of it,
Yeah.
it gets your money's worth.
It sure does.
Right. So
Yeah, I agree.
other than that, I'm looking at all these questions. It sounds like it's all just kind of the same stuff afterwards.
I think we covered a good portion of it.
We definitely did.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of going into it, for anybody who's on the fence with paint protection film, this really falls along the lines of like what you're worried about and what you want to protect your car against.
Well, that's why when somebody calls in looking for an estimate, that's pretty much the first question. Like, what are you trying to prevent against?
Yeah. I usually ask the question of like, if you see a rock chip, are you going to lose sleep?
Yeah, and if the answer is yes, then you're looking at PPF. Because
Exactly.
ceramic coating is not gonna stop a rock.
It's not, but it makes the car look super glossy and super nice.
Definitely does. Yeah.
And some people, believe it or not, some people don't even see rock chips.
Some people don't care.
Like, I don't know if it's they don't care or if they just don't see them.
I guess it really depends on like.
Because I've seen some peppered bumpers,
Oh yeah.
and I'll go like, "You got a ton of rock chips, bud."
They'd be like, what?
No. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
he ain't looking at the front bumper then.
you just need ceramic coating, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. In that case, yeah, 100%.
All right, awesome, guys. Hope we answered a lot of your questions here. Let us know what you guys think about this new setup that we have for the podcast, and hopefully see you guys in the next one.
See you later.
Peace.
Bye.